It started like any other town hall, at least on paper. But the air inside that Columbus, Ohio venue carried something electric. A former civic center, now dressed up with bright lights, camera rigs, and rows of metal chairs. The crowd was tense, evenly split between hopeful curiosity and cautious skepticism. At the center of it all was former President Donald Trump, seated behind a long panel table with 4 other political figures, 3 conservatives, 2 liberals. Security hovered close, while Trump sat with that unmistakable grin, the one that made headlines long before it ever made peace. Then, quietly and without fanfare, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett walked in. No flashy entourage, just her campaign manager trailing a few steps behind. She wore a sharp navy blue suit, neat and understated. Her hair pulled back, eyes locked ahead. She moved like someone who didn't come to play a role. She came for a purpose. As she took her seat and gently laid her notes on the table, it was clear this wasn't about theatrics. No showmanship, just intent. The first questions came and went. Safe topics, border security, prison education programs. There were nods and polite claps. But something underneath simmered. Trump shifted uncomfortably. He tapped his mic more than once. It felt like he was bracing himself. Then came the shift. The moderator turned to Crockett with a prompt that cut through the niceties. Congresswoman, your district holds one of the highest incarceration rates in Texas. What national reforms are we still missing? She paused, just for a breath, then delivered words that felt more like lived truth than a rehearsed answer. If we're going to talk about justice, she said calmly, we need to stop pretending it's being handed out equally. She didn't lecture. She spoke like someone explaining a hard truth to a neighbor, not judging, just clarifying. She pointed out how some kids get locked away for minor offenses, while others walk free after serious crimes. There were small nods in the crowd, even a few soft claps. But then Trump leaned in, not with volume, with insinuation. Let's not ignore the real issues, he said. Some communities have serious problems. Crime, broken families, lack of discipline. It's not all the system. It's culture. And just like that, the air froze. You could feel it shift. Jasmine didn't blink. She turned toward him slowly, lips pressed together in a tight line. The moderator, sensing tension, moved to intervene, but Crockett leaned forward, hand on the mic. Mr. President, she said, cool but unwavering, a lack of accountability at the top does more damage than any community ever could. The room inhaled sharply. Even Trump looked stunned. Before he could regroup, she added more, cutting through the tension with deliberate grace. I don't get to talk about this like it's theory. I live it. I've buried classmates. I've defended kids who never stood a chance. If we want to talk responsibility, let's talk about who writes the rules and who benefits when those rules are bent. Trump tried to counter, shifting back into defense. We've done more for the black community than any administration. Opportunity zones, job growth, HBCU support, but we keep getting blamed. Jasmine stayed calm. If those programs worked, she said, people wouldn't still be stuck in survival mode. If change was real, people would feel it. But they don't. There was no yelling, no dramatics, just undeniable truth, spoken plainly. Trump tried to jab again, this time with sarcasm. You're quite dramatic. Maybe you missed your calling in television. It earned a few chuckles, but they didn't land the way he expected. Jasmine gave a brief smile. You love attention, Mr. President. I prefer results. I show up where it matters. I know the mothers burying their sons. Do you? Silence again. The kind that didn't demand a mic drop. It dropped itself. The moderator tried to regain rhythm, attempted to move on, but the audience wouldn't have it. A few claps turned into steady applause. Phones came out. Someone in the back whispered, "That's going viral." Producers backstage already knew. They'd caught lightning. Still, Crockett wasn't done. Trump tried again, saying law and order isn't racist, it's reality. Jasmine responded instantly, eyes focused, words sharper now. No one said law and order is racist, but applying it selectively, that's the problem. When some people are punished while others get a pass, that's not order, that's control. The audience hummed in agreement. Trump raised an eyebrow. So now the problem? Crockett didn't blink. No, the refusal to acknowledge the problem is. Then came the knockout. You could use your position to change things, but you choose to protect the system that keeps people like me at the bottom. There was nothing left to say. Trump leaned back. A rare moment. No reply, no grin, just stillness. And then from across the table, a Republican panelist, Congressman Barry Lang, broke rank. He cleared his throat and said, "I don't agree with everything Congresswoman Crockett said, but she's right about one thing. We have to stop pretending these issues are simple. They're not." The room shifted again, not into debate, into reckoning. And Jasmine? She just sat still, not for applause, not for headlines. She was here to speak truth. And she did. The headlines came fast. Before the studio lights cooled, major networks were already flashing banners. Crockett confronts Trump. A tense exchange on live TV. Texas Congresswoman delivers viral moment. Even pundits who'd never taken her seriously were scrambling. Some called her sharp. Others accused her of being strategic. But none could deny what had just happened. She had owned the stage. Clips flooded every corner of the internet. Instagram reels, TikTok breakdowns, YouTube reactions. One moment in particular, her line about truth feeling like division to those who benefited from the lie, was everywhere. By sunrise, that single clip had passed 2 million views. Endorsements began to roll in, quiet at first. A civil rights leader in Detroit simply posted, "That's how you speak truth to power." A former prosecutor in Los Angeles tweeted, "I don't agree with everything she says, but damn, that was leadership." Celebrities followed. An A-list actor reposted the clip with the caption, "We need more like her." Behind the scenes, things moved even faster. Jasmine's press manager, Kiera, couldn't keep up with the requests. CNN, MSNBC, a popular morning radio show. Even Fox News reached out, pre-recorded, of course. Back at the hotel, Jasmine sat on the edge of her bed, shoes off, watching muted news footage of her own face replayed again and again. One anchor described her as calm, pointed, and precise, a rare thing in modern politics. Kiera walked in holding a tablet. "You should see this," she said. "We're at over $250,000 in donations in one night, and half of it is from people who've never donated to a campaign before." Jasmine leaned back, unfazed. "No games," she said. "We keep the message sharp. No stunts. This is about policy." Kiera nodded. "Understood. Oh, DNC leadership just texted. They want a meeting." Jasmine sat up slowly, almost like she'd expected it. She looked out the window at the sleeping city skyline. "You know what's crazy?" she whispered. "I didn't even say everything I wanted to say." The next morning was a storm. By 7:15 a.m., Jasmine's name had been said on 3 national networks within 5 minutes. Not buried in a segment, front and center. Crockett changes the tone of the race. Authentic, measured, and devastatingly effective. A flashpoint worth examining. Even Fox and Friends, though careful, called her one to watch. Back at her campaign office in Dallas, her team stared at the donation tracker. $1.1 million in 12 hours. Not corporate donors. Teachers, Uber drivers, college students. Kiera half laughed, half gasped. "We broke the app. The donation platform had to re-verify their servers." Jasmine sat quietly with cold coffee and untouched oatmeal. She was watching videos being sent in. A high school class in Arlington. A teacher pausing lessons to talk about justice, and a student whispering, "That's who I want to be like." It hit harder than she expected, not because of fame, but because she understood what it meant for young people to see someone speak, and not flinch. The spotlight didn't dim. Primetime CNN interview. A slot on The View. Podcasts pouring in. Celebrities. Pastors. Union leaders. Even actors she'd never met. One voicemail played aloud. "This is Pastor Lewis Grant from Augusta. I've watched politicians come and go. But you didn't just speak. You reflected. We saw ourselves." Jasmine listened, then nodded once. Not for attention, for direction. Let's stick to the message, she said. No platforms chasing sound bites. We're not here to entertain. We're here to wake people up. But not everyone clapped. Backlash was swift. Right-wing hosts labeled her divisive. One headline claimed she weaponized victimhood. An op-ed called her danger in a power suit. Old clips were resurfaced, some edited, some taken out of context. A video of her defending a controversial client, back from her public defender days, circulated with misleading captions. Kiera had to shut off her notifications. They're digging hard and fast. Jasmine wasn't fazed. She expected this. They want noise, she said. Let them make it. But still, the weight crept in. Quietly, not through the news. Through silence. The quiet after the calls stopped. The walk from her car to the door. The way her mother's voice lingered longer on the phone. Then came the threats. A voicemail. An anonymous email. A typed letter with no return address. Sit down or you'll be put down. Security teams moved quickly. Background checks, briefings, lockdown plans. Jasmine stayed composed. But even she felt the shift, not the danger. She'd always known that came with the job. What rattled her was how quickly truth could be erased when fear stepped into the room. That night, her mom called again. You okay, baby? I'm all right, Mama. You eating? Trying. You sound tired. There was a pause. Then her mother said something Jasmine hadn't expected. I saw you up there. I never seen you more in your skin. Don't let them shake you out of it. Jasmine swallowed hard. I'm good, Mama. I promise. But she wasn't. Not fully. Later that night, in sweatpants and a t-shirt, she stared into the bathroom mirror. The fear wasn't of being attacked. It was of being derailed. Distracted by the noise and forgetting why she started. She closed her eyes and thought back. Law school, late nights in courtrooms. Clients who'd been written off before they even got a chance. A father who taught dignity without ever saying a word. She stepped out of the bathroom, grabbed a notebook, and wrote 2 words at the top of a fresh page. Hold steady, because the storm wasn't over. But storms don't last forever. In the quiet of her home office, past midnight, Jasmine sat with a lamp flickering. Behind her hung her law degree, and a photo of her father beside his old Dodge truck, arms folded, eyes proud. She looked at the photo like it could answer back, like it could remind her. This fight didn't begin on a debate stage, and it won't end on one. She wasn't after applause. She was after change. And deep down, she knew, the ones who endure aren't the loudest. They're the ones who refuse to sit down when the spotlight fades.